A community in shock as their high school principal passes away unexpectedly. What the district is saying about his service to the school and how the community is rallying around to help his family.
And after a series of roundtable discussions, Governor Abbott is expected to make school safety recommendations this week, a wrap-up of what was discussed.
Plus, a longtime Big Country pastor is retiring after 54 years. The legacy he's leaving behind, plus a look at what's in store for his future.
That's a look at your top headlines tonight.
KTAB News at 10 starts in 60 seconds with Forecast First.
Now, from your Weather Authority, your KTAB Forecast First.
Good evening, Big Country. I want to start off by thanking all those who have served in our military. Us here at KTAB, we greatly appreciate that. It's going to be a mild and muggy start to kick off that Memorial Day. Temperatures starting out in the lower 70s, however, quickly rebounding into those lower to middle 90s by noon and eventually topping out back into near triple digits. In other words, find a way to stay cool and apply lots of sunscreen if you're headed outdoors. That's Forecast First. KTAB News Weekend starts now.
With coverage you can count on, this is KTAB News Weekend.
Good evening. Thank you for choosing KTAB News. Coverage you can count on. I'm Nathan Greed.
And I'm Kathleen Barkley. The Comanche community is heartbroken tonight, learning their high school principal passed away unexpectedly overnight. That's tonight's top story.
The town of just over 4,000 people in Comanche County are all rallying together through this difficult time. Vincent Pierce was just 34 years old. He leaves behind a wife and 3 children who had just completed 3rd, 6th, and 7th grades.
Comanche ISD Superintendent Gary Spiegel spoke to KTAB News, telling us, quote, Mr. Pierce was a rock star principal. He had all the tools that it took to help everybody be better at what they do, whether that be student, staff, or superintendent. He will be greatly missed at Comanche ISD, end quote. Comanche sports boosters also telling KTAB News tonight, quote, Coach Pierce was the biggest supporter and cheerleader of the Maidens and Indians. It's going to be very hard to find a principal that loves the kids more than he did, end quote. A GoFundMe account has been set up to help with funeral expenses. Nearly $11,000 has been raised as of news time. That's more than half of their $20,000 goal. For a link to that GoFundMe, you can visit the KTAB website, bigcountryhomepage.com.
It's been 9 days since 10 people were killed in a school shooting in Santa Fe, Texas, and this week, Texas state officials heard from survivors.
And they've been searching for solutions to gun violence through a series of roundtable conferences. And tonight, Phil Prazen has a wrap-up of those conferences in this KTAB update.
And here he is, Officer Bandit, Maestro.
After an emotional 3 days of input, Texans look to their leaders for action.
Nobody's shooting just Democrats, nobody's shooting just Republicans.
Coming from a student, I felt a little bit safer, and I applaud you for being there.
Santa Fe senior Aaron Chenoweth was one of many who want lawmakers to increase armed security in their school, as well as more counselors and more mental health services, all expensive.
I have faith in them, and I have faith in the Lord, so good things will come.
Usually when politicians change a little bit, it's because the public has changed a little bit.
Executive editor of the Texas Tribune, Ross Ramsey, says Abbott now has 3 options. He can issue grants through his office and direct day-to-day policy through his appointments. He can work with the top 10 lawmakers known as the Legislative Budget Board and direct money around other parts of the budget. But if new money, rainy day funds, or a change in law is required, he'll have to call the entire legislature back for a special session. To successfully do that, he'll have to have votes to pass ideas into reality.
He had a special session and did nothing. that's worse than no special session at all.
And now we wait for the next step with just 3 months to act before the next school year.
Governor Greg Abbott is expected to issue his recommendations this week.
New information tonight. Former President George H.W. Bush is back in the hospital. He was taken to a main facility after experiencing low blood pressure and fatigue. He's expected to stay there for observation for a few days. The hospital stay comes a day after visiting with military veterans in Maine. Last month, Bush was hospitalized after an infection the day after a funeral was held for his wife, Barbara Bush. George H.W. Bush is 93 years old.
In your local Crime Watch, what was a fun night of graduation celebrations for the seniors of Eastland High School turned into a morning of shock. Students left their vehicles parked at Eastland High overnight on Friday. Saturday morning, several of them were found vandalized. Take a look at these photos. These are just some of the vehicles damaged. Police say that rocks were thrown at windows, paint was scratched, and vulgar images were carved into the vehicles. Police are searching for any leads, and Crime Stoppers is offering a cash reward. Now, if you have any information, call 254-629-1700 or 254-629-1728. You can also email tips at eastlandtx.gov or message Eastland Police Department on Facebook. All of that information will be kept confidential.
Meanwhile, cleanup efforts are ongoing tonight after a severe storm carrying 85-mile-per-hour winds hit San Saba County. The storm brought softball-sized hail, ripped houses apart, busted windows, and damaged power lines. Now, no one was injured, and firefighters in Richland Springs are now asking for water donations. Christina Bart has new information.
Severe storm damage in Richland Springs leaves people relying on their firefighters and their faith in God.
As long as you stay close with the Lord, it'll be all right.
Ginger Skelton is thankful she's safe after the storm hit her town last night. The wind so strong it ripped through houses and carports, forcing people to take shelter wherever they could.
That wind is sure getting hard. I thought, I better get in before I get blown away.
When I came out of my room and I looked around and I saw the glasses, all the windows broke, mirrors broke, hail balls in the living room, all the leaves off the trees in the living room.
Mondo Garcia with the volunteer fire department heard the storm approaching fast and furious.
It was low enough that you could hear the roar and the sound of something that you can't imagine that came through this town.
Although no one reported any injuries, many were left without power, but not without hope.
We've been up all night checking on residents, going door to door and stuff. And like I said, in a little small community like this, it's like family, and we try to take care of each other.
The biggest issue for the community of about 300 people now is the water shortage.
We don't want nobody to run out of water, especially with this hot and humidity that we're getting right now.
Now, firefighters are asking for water donations, but also for plywood or tarp to help people cover up their windows.
Well, in Potosi, an era has come to an end, and after nearly 3 decades, Pastor Charles Dunham is retiring from the Potosi United Methodist Church. Now, the congregation says that this was an emotional day, and Charles says life is good.
And here is tonight's Eye on the Big Country report.
The sermon today was a guide for living, a fine way to put a bow on 50 years of serving the Lord, half of that with the congregation in Potosi.
Very emotional. I'm very, very happy for Charles, but I'm very, very sad for all of us.
I think it's a wonderful celebration. It's a sad time for us because Charles has been with us for many years now. We all love him. He's a friend to us, as well as a pastor.
Surrounded by friends and family, including all 6 of his children, it was a packed house for Charles Dunham's final sermon.
I've been a member of his church, and he baptized me when I was a kid, so I've been going to this church since I was probably about 7 or 8 years old. So we've been through a lot. He married me and my wife. The fire that burned down the original church building in 2015, and I've just seen him be a shepherd of this flock for a long, long time.
It's been a long road, and he's seen a lot, but he has no regrets in what started as a temporary position.
Temporarily ended up being 28 years. So I think my word of caution there is be very, very careful about taking temporary assignments. They may not be On a more serious note, it's been a great time. This has become like an extended family.
This experience, while a little longer than expected, has certainly been a great benefit to the people of the Potosi United Methodist Church. Now that Charles is all finished up, he says that in his newly found free time, he's going to pick up painting again, he's going to start writing, and he adds that he's going to be sleeping in a little late.
Oh, don't blame him. Look forward to see what he comes up with through retirement. Thanks, Nathan. Coming up on KTAB News Weekend, second generation tour pilots honor veterans and their fathers. Their story takes off later.
And the dog days of summer are here, and that can spell trouble if you're not careful. We'll tell you how to prep for triple-digit temps.
That's all coming up, but first let's check in with Noel for a look at our very hot forecast. Noel?
Hey, thank you, Kathleen. And you're right, you don't want to find yourself becoming sick from the recent heat wave. Now, here's a few reasons why it's been so hot as of lately. A strong ridge sitting over west central Texas, and then also not going to break down anytime soon. Therefore, seeing those temperatures continue to soar into the triple digits for the next several days. Unfortunately, still no rain in the near future. A relatively dry weather pattern sticking around here throughout west central Texas. I'll look at your full forecast coming up.
With coverage you can count on, Kathleen Barkley, Nathan Grieve, and meteorologist Noel Ream. This is KTAB News Sunday.
Well, as those temperatures heat up, I'm sure you're looking for ways to stay cool. Well, Abilene's Adventure Cove is officially open.
And Abilene's newest water attraction opened for their second season this weekend. It's on the 2700 block of South 9th Street. Adventure Cove is open from 1 to 7 p.m. on Sundays and Mondays, and 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. for the rest of the week. Now, children under 2 get in for free, $7 a ticket for everyone else. And let's check in now with meteorologist Noel Ream for your very hot forecast.
Now, meteorologist Noel Ream with your Weather Authority forecast.
Well, you're going to want to take out the swimming trunks and the bathing suits because the heat is not going to let up anytime soon. Unfortunately, we have a low pressure off to our west associated with this dry line. The only thing we're seeing is just a few scattered showers and isolated storms around Amarillo, pushing up towards the north, and some increased moisture around Houston coming in from the Gulf Coast because of Alberto, which we'll talk about just in a second. Max Live radar showing clear conditions across all the big country and the heartland this evening. A great night to get out there and check out the stars because it's going to be one of those nights before those clouds start to increase throughout the next week. 86 degrees across the Key City, 64-degree dew points. So we are seeing some of that moisture returning into the area. Not much moisture, but it's still going to be there. Southeast winds at about 16 miles an hour. Now, those temperatures across the board still sitting in the mid-80s at this time. Look at that, 91 degrees in Jayton. It's still about 89 degrees in Sweetwater down to our south and throughout the heartland. 87 for Coleman, 84 degrees this evening for Brownwood. And they don't call the Lone Star State for nothing. 99 degrees across the Lone Star State and across the Key City here, and then 97 in Chicago. And one of the cooler spots, Salt Lake City, saw 67 degrees, and we'll show you that in just a second, as we do have summer-like weather patterns still continuing. The reason why we had some cool temperatures across the Pacific Northwest, we have an upper-level low in this area, but a strong ridge still building up over west central Texas, still allowing for those temperatures into the upper 90s and some triple digits yet again in some of our spots. Now for Tuesday, this will continue to strengthen and stick pretty strong over our area. It's not until Wednesday and Thursday when we see it strengthen the most, but still relatively warm, 12 to 15 degrees above average. Our normal temperature this time of the year should be about 87 degrees, but check this out. Near 100 degrees yet again for Memorial Day, 102 Tuesday, 104 Wednesday and Thursday when that ridge becomes its strongest over our area. So speaking of those triple-digit temperatures, the first thing you're going to remember is stay hydrated, loose and light-colored clothing. Also take a look at the pets and the neighbors if you have a chance. Take it easy and run that AC as needed. Tracking the tropics for you, we have subtropical storm Alberto. This is the latest forecast. Now moving northwest at 9 miles an hour. Will continue to slow down as it makes its way towards the coastline. Still expecting some localized flooding in our north and northwestern states. Around Atlanta, looks like Charleston will get some pretty heavy rainfall there. This is about 65 miles an hour. It will make landfall within the next few hours. It looks like overnight. Therefore, a tropical storm warning along the Florida and Alabama shorelines there, and some localized flooding across there as well. Another 4 to 6 inches could be likely. But for tonight back home, mostly clear skies, a muggy evening, still getting to about 73 degrees as we cool off a bit. Now for tomorrow, hot and dry. It's going to be a bit breezy with those southeast winds, 10 to 15 miles an hour, gusting to 20. 100 degrees is going to be expected yet again. Now for tonight for Brownwood in the heartland, clear skies, but nonetheless a pleasant evening, a little cooler there than the big country. Now for tomorrow, lots of sunshine, but still sticking well above average, pushing 99 to near 100 degrees there as well. Here's what we got for the next several days. 100 degrees for your Memorial Day, and we're going to continue to warm up from there. A slight chance for an isolated shower or storm. That'll only be in the early morning hours of Tuesday, but a very dry and warm pattern. 104 for both Wednesday and Thursday, guys.
All right, I just want to make sure I'm not crazy. 106 is what that says for Saturday.
That's what it's looking like so far.
All right.
That doesn't call bathing suits. I don't know.
I guess so. All right. Well, we'll take what we get. Thanks, Noel. Well, there's no denying it's hot outside, as you just saw with those triple digits in the forecast. It's only going to get hotter.
Now, a lot of people are preparing to beat the heat, and it's important to be educated on how to stay safe during this intense heat. Candy Rodriguez has the story, all new tonight at 10.
We're not even close to the dog days of summer, but people are already feeling the heat. It's hot.
Yeah, I know. It's pretty hot.
And it seems like everyone shares the same goal.
Trying to cool down.
Trying to cool down. And staying cool can be a lifesaver, says Austin Travis County EMS Commander Brian Fitzpatrick. And the potential outcome can vary.
It ranges in severity from people that just get overheated and exhausted to actual heat stroke, where you have a change in your mental status.
Fitzpatrick says never underestimate the hot sun and stay prepared.
Drink plenty of water, stay hydrated, wear light-colored clothing, loose clothing, and take frequent breaks.
So how are people preparing that are spending the day out in the sun?
We brought our ice chest and some drinks to have there. Yeah, waters.
Like, don't wear pants. Ice pack, back to the neck. It's good.
You can have fun, but at the end of the day, you get dehydrated without you knowing.
When KTAB News Weekend continues, the Breckenridge Air Show may have already landed for the weekend, but 3 pilots are sharing their story of carrying on a legacy.
And it's Game 7 of the Eastern Conference Finals. LeBron eyes his 8th straight finals appearance. Dusty has the highlights coming up in sports.
I didn't know Kathleen worked for BCH Sports. Oh, that was cool. I liked that. It said BCH Sports behind you? It actually said BCH Sports behind you?
Like if you were looking behind you. Well, like on the screen behind you. If you've been looking there.
But if you actually looked at the TV, it
KTAB News Weekend continues.
Welcome back. Well, tonight we continue our coverage of the Breckenridge Air Show. Today was the second and final day of the show out at the Stevens County Airport, and there tonight we meet the three of the Tora pilots who are carrying on a legacy. Now you see, they're all second-generation pilots, and they say this weekend was a chance to honor their fathers at an air show they've admired since they were children. Take a look. In the midst of the Breckenridge Air Show, you'll find Dan, Patrick, and Michael.
The whole air show industry is like a family.
And for these three guys, it's all in the family.
His father was the first tour lead when tour did their first performance in 1972. After a while of doing this, it just gets in your blood, and I can't imagine these guys going to an air show without me.
They're all second-generation Tora pilots. With each takeoff, they're teaching another generation.
It's a flying history lesson because they don't teach this in school anymore.
And more than that, they're honoring their fathers.
My father passed away years ago, and if he was still alive, he would be really surprised that this group is still going like it is.
And it's a walk down memory lane.
It's funny, we're staying at the Ridge Motel. Okay, I'm in room 137. I stayed in that room in 1980. The same room, 38 years ago, the same room. So.
And a chance to experience what their fathers before them experienced.
When this started up again last year, I was thinking, great, we get to go back to Breckenridge, and I get to experience what he experienced all those years coming here.
But most importantly, it's a chance to honor our veterans.
This is what we do. This is our hobby. It's a privilege to fly these airplanes. It's an honor to fly these airplanes. We're honoring veterans. We're creating a living history lesson.
Now, unfortunately, Dan, Patrick, and Michael say there's not a third generation ready to fly Tora, but they're hoping to persuade at least one of them. But for now, they're excited to come back to the Breckenridge Air Show next year.
Well, that's fantastic. On with that, let's go to Dusty in the Big Country Sports Center for Sports Tonight. Dusty, today has been a pretty crazy day all across the board, and definitely for you as well as someone you know personally who is playing for Big 12 title game.
Yeah, Kathleen and Nate, that is correct. In addition to Game 7 of the Eastern Conference Finals, well, today was a big day for TCU and Baylor as a former